there, everybody. So, today we will be discussing Class 10th English chapter A Triumph of Surgery, written by James Herriot, and the book is Footprints Without Feet. So, let's get started. So, before we move any further, let's discuss the background of the story. As we are all already aware, this story revolves around a small dog named Tricky and his wealthy owner, Mrs. Pumphrey. Mrs. Pumphrey जो है, she expresses her love for Tricky by overfeeding him and protecting him excessively. तो ये जो misguided affection है ना, ये kind of Tricky की health को eventually affect करते हैं. So एक बार हम लोग main characters का ना एक overview ले लेते हैं. James Herriot, a sensible, practical and tactful veterinary surgeon who believes in discipline and balance. Mrs. Pumphrey, a rich, emotional, overprotective owner whose excessive love harms a pet. Tricky, a pampered dog whose greed and lack of exercise leads to illness. तो ये है हमारे चैप्टर के मेन कैरेक्टर्स जिनके अराउंड ये पूरी स्टोरी अ ट्रायम्फ ऑफ सर्जरी रिवॉल्व करती है. So guys, just for info, like flow charts have been added और अगर आपको कोई पॉइंट समझना I have written the key points, the ones I'm explaining mostly in the slides itself, so you can have a look and go through it, pause the video, read it out if you have any issue, because they have been organized in such a way that through the one sentence you'll be able to get an idea of what exactly I'm talking about. And there are certain flow charts in the between, because I personally feel that flow charts really help you visualize the entire thing of flow charts, mind maps. They help us recap a long chapter in one go with understanding what's happening in the plot. So let's move ahead. Now if we talk about Tricky's physical condition. So Tricky became enormously fat and inactive due to overfeeding. Uh, Mrs. Pumphrey used to overfeed him a lot. She used to give him chocolate cakes and whatnot. So, because of having such nutrient rich food, like such junk food rather, he became fat and inactive. And due to that inactivity, कि वो physical fitness करता ही नहीं था, he didn't used to go and play outdoors, and he got a bit lazy on that part. He suffered from breathlessness, vomiting, and extreme weakness. He gradually even lost interest in working, playing, and eating, and that indicated severe illness. What were the causes of Tricky's illness? We all know that he had fallen ill and Mrs. Pumphrey was worried. But reason क्या था? Firstly, it was due to the excessive intake of rich food such as cream cakes, chocolates, supplements, basically all kind of junk that a person can have. Then there was lack of proper physical exercise and outdoor activity. वो बिल्कुल भी, like she barely used to take him to walks, मतलब एकदम rarely, and other than that Tricky की कोई outdoor activity भी नहीं थी. After that, Mrs. Pumphrey's emotional weakness and inability to refuse Tricky anything. So the thing was, Mrs. Pumphrey felt that she could never say no to Tricky for anything. So even when Dr. Harriet had told her कि नहीं, you need to stop this intake of food, like with like cream cakes and chocolates, you need to reduce this, otherwise his health would worsen. She herself mentioned कि she can't control herself because it was her inability कि वो Tricky को कभी मना कर ही नहीं सकती थी किसी चीज के लिए. So now if we talk about the plot flow chart, start कैसे हुआ था? Mrs. Pumphrey used to overindulge him and pamper him a lot. So it started with overindulgence and pampering. Then obviously अब pampering के साथ क्या आता है? Pampering के साथ sometimes ना you tend to get lazy. I mean it happens with everybody कि if somebody over pampers you a lot ना तो laziness आ ही जाती है. So because of the overindulgence and pampering, obesity and laziness. And then eventually due to laziness, Tricky suffered from weakness and vomiting. Due to this weakness and vomiting, it eventually led to his health getting worse. So it all happened because of the overindulging of Mrs. Pumphrey and her inability to refuse Tricky anything. Now, what was Dr. Harriet's advice to Mrs. Pumphrey? डॉक्टर हेरियट ने एडवाइस किया था स्ट्रिक्ट कंट्रोल ओवर ट्रिकीज डाइट, कि अब तो इतना ओवर इंडल्ज मत करो मिसेस पम्फ्रे. इट वाज लाइक कि if you over indulge him this much na, he would never be able to get fine. So what you need to do is take strict control over Tricky's diet. उस डॉक्टर हेरियट ने तो साफ साफ बोल दिया था. And he, apart from diet, he also emphasized वही चीज, since Tricky was so like lazy, he never did any outdoor activities. So Dr. Harriet had even emphasized the importance of regular exercise and emotional firmness, कि आपको थोड़ा सा फर्म बनना पड़ेगा, उसको हर एक चीज नहीं देनी पड़ेगी, and you need to take him out for regular exercise. And he warned her eventually that continued indulgence could worsen Tricky's condition. We all know Mrs. Pumphrey promised that she would follow Dr. Harriet's advice, but she soon relents. Like she soon had to give in कि अब उनसे और रहा नहीं गया. So what happens was that because of her not being able to bear Tricky's weakness, she resumes feeding him rich food. And as a result, again because of all that junk, Tricky's condition worsens. So now, eventually, when Mrs. Pumphrey had called Dr. Harriet again, Dr. Harriet decided कि Tricky अगर घर पे रहेगा तो he won't be able to get well because Mrs. Pumphrey would not be able to control herself. तो Dr. Harriet decided कि Tricky must not stay at home, and hospitalization became necessary to save Tricky's life. Mrs. Pumphrey, because she could not bear to be away from her pet for so long, she was heartbroken, but she knew उनको agree करना था, तो she agrees reluctantly, क्योंकि उनका मन तो नहीं था, but she knew it had to be done. तो एक बार इस फ्लो चार्ट के थ्रू लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट वाज द ट्रीटमेंट प्लान. क्या कोई रियली ट्रायम्फ ऑफ सर्जरी वाला लॉजिक होता है? अगेन we will talk about that later on in this video only. So let us understand the treatment plan with the help of this flow chart. सबसे पहले क्या होता है? हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन, ट्रिकी इज रिमूव फ्रॉम होम, उसको डॉक्टर हेरियट की सर्जरी में शिफ्ट कर दिया जाता है. लेटर ऑन कंपल्सरी फास्टिंग. अब मिस्टर हेरियट ने उसको बिल्कुल भी जंक नहीं दिया, बिल्कुल भी कुछ नहीं दिया. इट वाज लाइक ही वाज केप्ट ओनली फॉर लाइक kept on only just drinking water, not anything else. उसके बाद he also had regular exercise and played with all the other dogs present there. And gradually he recovered because the only thing he was lacking was the physical fitness, and his diet needed to be controlled. How was the life at the surgery for Tricky? Tricky was not given any medicine at all, क्योंकि डॉक्टर हेरियट न्यू कि मेडिसिन की जरूरत है ही नहीं यहाँ पे. The first thing was he was kept on water only diet for the first 2 days. He was only given water to drink and nothing else. No food. Water only diet. Then he was allowed to move freely and interact with the other dogs. अब जब वो interact कर रहा, he was moving freely. He got to have some physical fitness, exercise हुई, and he also got to interact with the other dogs. अब अगर हम लोग बात करें what was the role of the other dogs in this? First of all, interaction with the other dogs helped Tricky become more active. He learned discipline, competition, natural behavior. क्योंकि जब वो dogs के साथ interact कर रहे, they were competing for things. So he learned discipline, competition, and he also became very active. He wasn't the lazy kind of dog anymore. He became physically fit as well. And this physical and social activity also greatly improved his health. Now, if we talk about Mrs. Pumphrey's anxiety, we all know that Mrs. Pumphrey was very, very close to Tricky. It was seen throughout the chapter. So, Mrs. Pumphrey used to constantly call the surgery to inquire about Tricky. Now, the funny thing was that she thought sending eggs and wine and brandy and stuff like that would improve Tricky's health. So, constantly she started sending eggs, wine, brandy, believing they would help improve Tricky's health. So this kind of highlighted her misunderstanding of proper care. Now if we talk about the humorous part in the story, the thing is like when she sent the eggs, wine, brandy and all the things like that, that was humorous in itself. The thing was that the food was not the foods and drinks that were sent for Tricky were not consumed by Tricky. Instead, they were consumed by the vets. And the contrast was that Mrs. Pumphrey believed that she was sending it all for Tricky, it would help improve his health. But in reality, it was consumed by the vets instead. So this story maintains kind of a light-hearted tone despite a serious theme. So this was like the humorous part of the story. Now we talk about Tricky's transformation. अब हमने as we have already read and revised here also, Tricky was kept on a water only diet. उसको physically fit रखा. He was able to interact with the other dogs. He had his social activities, and even the physical activities helped him a lot. So within those 2 weeks, Tricky became slim, active, and energetic. He developed strong muscles and enthusiasm for life, and he really enjoyed running and playing like a normal dog. Now we talk about the recovery process. Again, I'm going to explain this with the help of a flowchart because, well, flowcharts are effective. So, firstly, weak and sick dog. We all know Tricky was very weak and sick at the beginning. Then, when he was brought to the surgery, he became active and playful. Because of that active lifestyle, he became healthy and energetic, and because of being healthy and energetic, he became happy and content. Somehow, having a healthy lifestyle also helps you become more content because physical fitness and exercise also tend to, like meditation and stuff, tend to give you contentment and sometimes happiness as well. Up now, if we talk about the justification of the title, I mean, सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन चैप्टर स्टार्ट करने से पहले जो हम चैप्टर का नेम पढ़ते हैं, द ट्रायम्फ ऑफ सर्जरी, इसको पढ़ने के बाद में सबसे पहले चीज ये लगती है कौन सी सर्जरी हुई थी ऐसी चैप्टर में. हमें लाइक क्यूरियोसिटी होती है फिर कि व्हाट वाज द सर्जरी, बट इन रियलिटी that even though the title suggests a surgical operation, there was no real surgery that was performed on Tricky. The real triumph lies in the correct diagnosis, discipline, and common sense. And this was perfectly shown by Dr. Harriet. He knew that Tricky को कोई medicine की ज़रूरत नहीं है. All he needed was an active lifestyle and a healthy diet. So the real triumph here lied in the fact that Dr. Harriet did the correct diagnosis, he knew what was required to be done, and he even implemented it. And that's why the chapter was named so. Now, if we talk about the theme of the story, first of all, the story highlights the danger of excessive love and indulgence. Second, it emphasizes the importance of balance, discipline, and responsibility. Third, true care involves firmness, not blind affection. Now we have seen throughout the entire chapter that Mrs. Pumphrey was always constantly overindulging and pampering Tricky. So much so that she was so blinded by her affection for her pet that she did not realize how her excessive love was harming Tricky. So the true care involves firmness. थोड़ा सा firm होना जरूरी होता है. It's not just about blind affection. The entire chapter emphasizes the importance of balance, discipline, responsibility. It's like love दिखाओ, care करो, indulge करो, but to a certain extent. Now, if we talk about the message of the story, first of all, overindulgence can be as harmful as neglect. एक चीज होते है एक चीज को किसी चीज पे बिल्कुल भी ध्यान नहीं देना. दूसरा होता है इतना ज्यादा ध्यान देना कि ओवर हो जाता है. So overindulgence can be as harmful as neglect. Second, pets need proper diet, exercise, and discipline. If you love your pet, that doesn't mean you're going to overindulge them to such a point that you won't be able to maintain the proper diet and exercise. Third, excess of anything, even love, can be dangerous. Now, if we talk about the mood and tone of the poem, first of all, the mood of the story is kind of light and cheerful and engaging. The tone is affectionate, humorous, gentle. And this humor in the story makes the message more effective. meant to be aware about how overindulgence can be harmful, and the way it was portrayed in the story was a message in itself. Now, if we talk about the values highlighted, first of all, responsibility in pet ownership. Second, importance of common sense and discipline. Third, compassion guided by wisdom. Now, if we talk about the main conclusion of this chapter, that is the triumph of surgery teaches us that wisdom and discipline are more powerful than any medicine. That's true. Because when Dr. Harriet decided to hospitalize Tricky, he even then didn't give him any medicine. Because he knew that the main problem that Tricky was facing was the lack of discipline, a proper routine, a proper diet, of physical fitness. So that was exactly what Dr. Harriet did. He didn't give Tricky any sort of medicine, but instead he made sure that Tricky was put on a strict diet, plus his physical fitness was maintained. Now, true love lies in doing what is right, not what feels easy. Because it's this is kind of the thing, whenever we care about a pet or something, we tend to do what is more easier to us, like what is more comfortable to us, that in the end we know कि अगर वो सामने वाला बंदा गलत भी है, या I know कि ऐसे होना चाहिए, but because of our care we feel that the other option is more easier. So instead, the thing is that the true love lies in what is doing right, not what feels easy. So, this story leaves a lasting lesson on balance, care, and responsibility. So, like, apart from this chapter, if I talk about the main thing, again, I repeat this in every single video. The most important thing in English is how you write and present your answer. The first thing is keywords उठाओ, keywords उठा के उनको अपने आंसर्स में पोर्ट्रे करने की कोशिश करो. ऑब्वियसली आप सबसे पहले देखोगे 3 मार्कर है, 6 मार्कर है. 3 मार्कर है तो देयर इज वन राइटिंग स्टाइल, 6 मार्कर है तो देयर इज अ होल डिफरेंट राइटिंग स्टाइल ऑल टुगेदर. तो हमें प्रॉपर मेंटेन करके रखना होता है, बिकॉज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज द वे योर कंटेंट इज, योर प्रेजेंटेशन, your vocabulary, the way you have expressed everything is all divided for the marks purpose at least. So the main thing we need to do is चैप्टर को समझने के बाद कीवर्ड्स उठाने हैं, बिकॉज हर एक चैप्टर के कुछ ना कुछ मेन पॉइंट्स, मेन कीवर्ड्स, मेन फ्रेजेस होते हैं. सो इफ यू यूज देम इन आंसर्स ना, इट मेक्स इट मोर इफेक्टिव. अब मैं नहीं कह रही कि हर एक का अपना अपना स्टाइल होता है लर्न करने का, दैट्स ट्रू. सो व्हाट आई पर्सनली फील इज फ्लो चार्ट्स and mind maps help me recall things many a times. If something else works for you, then go ahead with it. But in the end, what we need to learn is how we present our answer in the exam, because the examiner is gonna judge your creativity, your presentation, your phrases, the way you have written the answer with the proper keywords underlined properly. That is what matters. So in case of any doubts, obviously you can post it in the comment section below. And all the best for the board exams.